live and online. It's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever, it's Sleepless with Steve. We are live and in living color on YouTube. Gruesome twosome tonight. No Dominic Guanzon, unfortunately, but we do have Joe Viso, which means we are live and in living color for this episode of Sleepless with Steve. Thank you for being with us, wherever you may be, however you may be listening or watching us live once again on this Wednesday evening. Not deep, but into December now. And I just realized that me being gone next week, I'm not going to see Dom now probably until the 28th, at least virtually on Sleepless. So that's a little upsetting. I'll be off next week, but these guys will hold down the fort no less. We're coming at you with a movie that I know we're both excited to talk about because I think we're both excited to see the movie too. Violent Night will be our big review. I returned to Disney as CEO amidst kind of an uncertain time for Disney. It's weird to say that about a company that owns probably about 70% of the movies you know and love. But they are, as we talked about last week with Strange World, underwhelming at the box office, to say the very least, and kind of hot off a string of underperforming movies between that and Lightyear. Bob Iger, can he right the ship? We shall see, and we do have some things to note about that. Dominic, actually, I was hoping that he was going to lead the discussion on that because he's a little bit more entrenched on the matter than I am, but he did supply me with a very well-written document. You'd have thought that like I was paying the guy to do the show. He came with a lot of really good talking points that he relayed to me in an outline that looks like something I made in college. That's how nice this looks. Yeah. So we'll touch on some of those, and I'll try to iterate some of Dom's great talking points, too, as I was reading this earlier. But moreover, great show in store. We are marching straight on to the holidays. Don't look now, but there are only like 24 days left in this year, 23 days left in this year to begin with. So,
you know what?
Sleepless is almost going on what? It's third year now in revival mode. It's like crazy. What's up?
I was gonna bring up. By the way, you're gonna see me get up. I'm just doing some maintenance real quick to make sure the stream is doing good. But I was gonna say, as much as we're almost out of 2022. Man, the slate of movies coming out in 2023. Man, I am excited for films in 2023. Especially after, I would say 2020 we didn't really get much. And 2021, even though it was kind of a return to theaters, it was kind of a weak output with, just a couple studios holding some stuff back because they wanted to wait to make a profit, Top Gun Maverick, stuff like that. So, I look at the slate of 2023 with, you got, the big franchise stuff, of course, but then you got, stuff like Cocaine Bear, hell, Megan's literally coming out at the start of the year. There's so much in store that I'm just okay, I can't wait to see that. We have Ari Aster's new movie coming out next year. It's just 2023 is shaping up to be one hell of a good year for films.
I think so, too. Jesse Eisenberg's directorial debut is finally coming out next month.
Oh, really?
After it premiered at Sundance almost a year ago. Yeah, that's coming out, too. I really like the look, too. I don't know if you saw the trailer, if you got early enough, but one of the cool things with Violent Night, too, is that if you see it in theaters, there's a ton of trailers beforehand that are not, tied to a franchise or tethered to, a world or something. It's just a lot of, what Violent Night ultimately is, a one-off good movie.
Yeah.
And there's I don't know if you got to see it, Joe, but there was a trailer before Violent Night for a movie that piqued my interest called Champions with Woody Harrelson. I almost said Woody Allen. Woody Harrelson is in it. Did you see that trailer?
Little story time. Because I had time after the Bears game on Sunday. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna go knock out the Sleepless movie this today. Screw it. I looked at the theater show times, and AMC was about to start in 15 minutes, and it takes me about 25 to get there. But I was like, hold on. Knowing how AMC is, I can leave my house right now and I will have all the time in the world because there's gonna be 20 million trailers, and then Nicole Kidman's gotta tell me how great it is to go to AMC, and then AMC Stubs has gotta have its ad. So I was like, I got time. That must have been one of the trailers I missed. I walked in on the trailer for Cocaine Bear, Megan, and there was one other movie. It was an action movie. I can't remember what it was, but those were the 3 movies I walked in on, and all 3 I was like, okay, like, that was great to see. Like, you know, it's just like none of them, yeah, like you said.
I think your audio cut out there, my friend. I think your audio cut out there.
Hello? Okay, so it's my mic that keeps disconnecting. Okay, that's the okay. The maintenance I was running was trying to see what USB thing was disconnecting and everything, but it appears to be my mic. And now that I know it's that, I'm gonna fix it right away. But what I was saying was, I saw 3 trailers: Cocaine Bear, Megan, and then some action movie that I can't. Oh, not John Wick. It was some action movie, and I was like, damn, all 3 of these actually look good, and not based on a sequel or anything like that. Not that I have a problem with those kind of movies, but it's just refreshing to finally get just one standalone thing, which is what we're going to talk about tonight as well.
Champions was the trailer for this new Woody Harrelson movie where he is like a disgraced, I want to say NBA coach, and he winds up taking a job as a Special Olympics coach, as like a coach of a Special Olympics baseball team or basketball team. And Bobby Farrelly directed it, one half of the Farrelly brothers, obviously me, myself, and Irene. So what was the other one? There's something about Mary. And Dumb and Dumber. So I'm looking forward to that one. That one comes out in late March, and I just think it's kind of an interesting, approach for that movie. We don't get a lot of movies about like special needs people in general. I think the last one I can really remember that made Coda, yeah, for sure.
Oh, I thought that's what you were gonna bring up.
Pardon?
I thought that was the movie you're gonna bring up when you were saying.
No, Coda's one of them. I was thinking even too like mentally handicapped people, like like Peanut Butter Falcon was probably the last one I remember, and that was really good.
Yeah.
So like seeing a movie like that, and I mean, then there's The Ringer, which I brought up to my buddy when we watched Violent Night. I said, like, remember The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville? And you know what the funny thing was, man? Did I like really prove myself prophetic? The Farrelly brothers were producers on that movie. Because I guess they help out a lot. Bobby and Peter Farrelly help out since they were like in their 20s with this like special needs organization. They've been doing it for like 30 plus years. They've had a relationship with this one organization. So it's kind of cool that they've been the ones to like bring, like special needs characters to like mainstream light. I don't think The Ringer though is like the most PC thing on the planet from what I remember. But it is cool to see that, though, no less. And it is cool to see Violent Night in theaters, too. I think we'll seg here, talk about Tommy Wirkola's Violent Night starring David Harbour. John Leguizamo's in it. John Leguizamo's like a beast in this movie, too.
I haven't seen him in such a while now. And then, like, at the end of the year, he comes in being in this movie and The Menu.
Yeah, because he was in The Menu too. Yeah, he was the washed up actor in The Menu.
Yeah,
he did some pretty good work there as well. But yeah, Leguizamo's in this. Beverly D'Angelo's in this, and it's kind of funny. Beverly D'Angelo is probably most fondly remembered for the vacation movies, but Beverly D'Angelo though has kind of in recent years been like a fixture for these like Hallmark holiday movies. So it's kind of funny to see her in this thing that's like the antithesis of that. But she's in it too. Got a great cast. Edie Patterson's in it as well. She was in Knives Out. So this movie does have a recognizable cast if you are a film fan. And David Harbour right now is kind of having a moment. And you know what was funny? I was talking at work with somebody about this movie. He hadn't seen it yet, but he's asked me what I thought about it. We were having a conversation, and he goes, he's a big Stranger Things fan. And he's like, I'm so glad David Harbour's like having his moment. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, the dude is great. I had to shamelessly plug Cooper Rife's movie, The Thrashers, which he's starring in next year. But he also brought up, and I completely forgot about this movie. And it's funny because I was like, I think one of the 8 people that enjoyed the movie, honestly. He goes, I honestly really liked his Hellboy. And I'm like, holy shit, that's right. There was a Hellboy movie with him in it back in 2019. I'm like, yeah.
I was gonna say that movie is like one of the most forgotten movies out there. Anytime I bring up to people like, oh, have you seen like Hellboy?
they always think of the Ron Perlman movies. I'm like, no, I'm talking about this David Harbour one. They're just like, wait, there was a Hellboy movie with David Harbour, because it came out at like a very terrible time. It came out between Shazam and Avengers Endgame. Talk about two movies that you do not want to be.
And it was like Easter
sandwiched.
19.
There was that too. Yeah, it came out on
And
the
it was
holiday.
like Easter of 19. Yeah.
It was just terrible timing on it. And like 2019,
I'm not sure if it was on the holiday, but it was around the holiday.
Yeah. But go on.
Yeah, like he brought it up though, and I was like, yeah, that's right, he was Hellboy, and it was like a decent Hellboy movie. Neil Marshall directed it. It had like a horror flavor to it. That has got to be one of the most forgotten superhero movies of the last like 10 years. Like even Fantastic Four, the Miles Teller movie and the Michael B. Jordan movie, like that gets brought up just to get shit on at least. Like Hellboy doesn't even get spoken about.
No.
You know,
I think
like,
I think it's best though too. I mean, like even though like I know you like the movie, I know like the way some people felt about that movie. It's like,
not great.
Let's move on. Let's watch David
it's
Harbour
not
be
great
Santa
by
Claus.
any means. Yeah, no, Violent Night is an infinitely better movie though, and I'm gonna start off by saying this: I'm a big fan of like these. It really sounds corny, but like these naughty Santa movies or these killer Santa movies. Not that this is a killer Santa movie. This isn't. This is a vigilante Santa movie. It's very different. But like I'm a big fan of these like irreverent like horror comedy thrillers like with Santa. I'm a big Silent Night Deadly Night fan. Santa's Sleigh with Bill Goldberg is one of my favorite horror movies, Christmas horror movies. So I'm the exact target audience for something like this. This is irreverent, this is offbeat, this is weird, and it's written by the same dudes who brought us both Sonic the Hedgehog movies too. So that is also worth noting as well. But right off the bat, though, this thing is just capital F fun. I don't think I've read a review of this thing that didn't use the word fun, because that's what it is. Now, it is essentially, if you really want to distill it down, and I hate doing this with movies, like I hated people calling Queen and Slim the Black Bonnie and Clyde, like this movie does take the Die Hard / Home Alone formula, but don't mistake it for just settling for that either, because this thing really does a good job of selling this premise, selling this world, and selling this setting. What say you about Violent Night just generally, Joe?
Dude, like, I'm glad you said fun, because that's what this movie is, and I'm even more happy you didn't say this movie is good, dumb fun, because I was getting annoyed of seeing that from people, whether it be critics or Letterboxd reviews, of people just saying, oh, this is good, dumb fun. It's like, there's nothing really dumb about this movie. It knows what it is. It plays with its premise very, very fun, like very fun, and it has a creative time with it. Yeah, man. I mean, this is just a good time at the theater. I'm a sucker when they do like Christmas movies in general, like Krampus, where it's just like, yeah, they take the idea of like, a Christmas movie where it's it's supposed to be all jolly and happy, and then they put like a dark twist on it, whether it be like a killer Santa Claus or Billy Bob Thornton swearing up a storm, or literally the like German folklore of Krampus coming around and eating children. Like, it's to me, it's like every once in a while when we get a Christmas film like that, it's just like, man, it's cool to get one that like just kind of goes against the grains of everything that's associated with Christmas, the happiness, the bright colors, the joyful tunes and everything, musical numbers, all that stuff. It's nice to just get every once in a while. It's like, oh, hey, you want to, because like, look, I don't give a damn what people say. Die Hard is a Christmas movie to me, and it is my favorite thing to watch around Christmas, because I love that scene where he kills that one dude, puts him in the elevator, writes in blood, ho, 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 now I have a machine gun. It's like one of my favorite moments in like any action movie. It's just cool now to finally get like, just literally, because people debate about it. Okay, it's Die Hard Christmas movie. Okay, now we legit just have a Die Hard-esque like action flick that's literally, you cannot deny it, Christmas, because it's Santa Claus is John McClane, played by David Harbour.
For sure. Yeah, and David Harbour he has to get the credit for really throwing himself in this movie. For really throwing himself in this role, because like he owns it from the very beginning. One of the things I really enjoyed about this movie too was that like if there was like, here's the thing, if there was like, I guess that there is for some people, if you're under 10 watching this, don't listen to me, but if there was a Santa Claus, minus the drinking and the swearing and the cursing and the beating and the bloodshed, I feel like the magic angle that David Harbour, that they get his character to employ, would be very similar. The way he can kind of go like this and look at his nice list,
Yeah.
the way he can kind of just pull it up in thin air, and the way he can like like lays his finger aside of his nose or whatever, and then like sparks come out. Like there's a lot there. I don't think this movie gets enough credit for the way it utilizes the magic of Santa Claus in a way that's really like almost like that of like a children's fantasy movie in a way. You kind of pick up what I'm putting down there.
No, I do. They that's the thing that made me think like, well, this is actually kind of being more creative than I was initially gonna give it credit for. Was they do play with the whole myth of Santa and like like his whole outlook on the world, and the bag was like one of my favorite gags in the movie because it's just like he's pulling out like literally what I always asked for Christmas growing up. Money, video games, and like a bunch of stuff, like not a baseball bat, not a cool toy or anything. He's like, Christmas has become really bland because all kids want now is money just to buy stuff on Amazon, gift cards. They want video games, the latest Call of Duty and everything. Not to say I didn't do that as a kid, I totally did, but I love just like the little things of that, and it's just like, man, like they're having a lot of fun with the idea of Santa Claus like in today's world more than other movies that actually have Santa Claus in today's world. Rather, they don't even do like, because I was worried they're gonna do like a fish out of story thing with it, like it's like, oh, what's an iPhone and everything. No, it's like Santa has grown up with the times and he hates it. He's a boomer. He despises technology and everything.
I kid you not, I had to do an event this past weekend of like a meet the Santa event for the radio station, which was a lot of fun. Really kind of like I love these kind of like warm fuzzy Santa Claus Christmas time events that I get to do, that I'm so fortunate to do.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Claus was there too, which was an interesting thing. You don't really see like meet Mrs. Claus in addition with Santa, but it was funny because this one kid came up and sat on Santa's lap or whatever. He had to be like 8. And Santa Miss Claus, you're like, what do you want for Christmas? And the kid says, I want an iPad. And I'm like, Jesus, Violent Night was right.
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't
these
kidding. Literally.
Yeah, like I was laughing at that though.
Man, I think it like, hold on, I'll tell you when we get into the green room. But no, like anytime I talk to my cousins on like what they got for Christmas and stuff like that, like it is legit just like iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches, Apple this, Apple that, and it's just like the moment like they were bringing that stuff up throughout the movie, and just like the comedy of it, like how he's just going from house to house. He goes up to stocking and it's just $100 bill, $100 bill, $100 bill. He goes beneath the tree and he's putting down video games, and it's just like and he's like there's a moment where he's trying to use the magic bag to pull gifts out of, to try and like hopefully get like a hockey stick or a baseball bat to use against one of the villains in the movie. He's pulling out just the most random stuff. The other thing I want to bring up, man, this movie called Violent Night, it is, for a low budget action film, man, it's got some good kills in it.
It's creative. It is very creative.
Yeah.
With some of the bloodshed, well choreographed too. Tommy Wirkola directed probably his most famous movie is Dead Snow, the Nazi zombie movie.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people remember. That was like 10 years ago. I think 11 years ago when that came out. That's probably his most famous thing. He's also done a handful of kind of like mid-budget action movies. He's Norwegian too, so this is like one of his, I don't know if it's his first, but it's one of his only like American productions too. And you could definitely tell like he has a proclivity with directing these kind of scenes. I keep telling people this movie, if they gave out Oscars for best montage, Lord knows this movie wouldn't get nominated. But if they did, and if the Oscars had a sense of humor, like the David Harbour as Santa Claus, his beatdown of like these several goons, while that Bryan Adams song, which I'm not gonna lie, it's very schmaltzy, but I love it, is the song Christmas Time. Even if you don't know it, like something about Christmas time makes you wish it was Christmas every day. That song plays during this like bloody, brutal beatdown of all these guys, and it's like such a juxtaposition, or it's like such a incongruence is the word I'm looking for, the opposite. It's such like an incongruous marriage of this like ballady, schmaltzy Christmas song with like this mayhem violence unfolding on the screen. That sequence alone was worth a couple pieces of hardware, because that was like one of the moments in this movie where I was like, they get it, and they totally know how to sell this thing. Yeah. They totally know how to position it, and it's a ton of fun.
What's his name? the director of Deadpool 2, and he's gone on to like do Bullet Train as well. Let me make sure I'm getting his name right here.
Tim Miller or
no, not
is
Tim
there another
Miller.
one?
David Leitch.
Oh, Leach.
Yeah,
Okay.
his whole production studio, which was, if you ever go see any of these movies, if you ever see a bunch of stick figures fighting before the movie for a movie logo, that's Leach's production studio now, because ever since he's done the John Wick movies and gone on to do other action flicks, he's opened up his own studio to make like a bunch of those kind of things. But like, the guy has done such a great job at like finding like directors that like want to make a movie and just have like a significant cool like action style or fun action style to it. Because like both this and Bullet Train, and more so this, because I like this way more than Bullet Train, but both of them play a lot of fun with their lead characters, and they know exactly what they are. Like, one of my favorite moments in this movie is like them like they know like, okay, we're obviously ripping off Die Hard and we're obviously ripping off Home Alone. So why don't we actually do like a Home Alone segment in a rated R film and actually show the repercussions that like Joe Pesci should have like had going through some of those traps.
For sure. No, absolutely. We've talked a ton about Harbor, which deservedly he's the main focal point of this thing too. But like one of the real focuses of this movie though is Leah Brady's character Gertrude, also known as Trudy. Leah Brady is kind of like the Kevin McAllister kid here, that's like again kind of trapped in this house with her family, her totally dysfunctional family. The night that a group of robbers, these very violent career criminals, break in to try to steal this $300 million that the grandmother of the family, Beverly D'Angelo, embezzled through government contracts. And Leah Brady does really good work. I hadn't heard of her before this, and I think this is one of her first, if not her first movies. And she's young. She's got to be, what would you say, 11? 12, something like that.
I thought she was, bro. I actually thought she was like what she was in the movie, like 8 or 9. If she's like 12, maybe
she might even
13,
be younger.
Go on.
Yeah, she might even be younger, but no, she does really good work. She's really cool. And the thing that I like, and this is a trope I've started. It's not even a trope. It's just a development point. What I've started to like with a lot of movies I've been seeing, like Bones and All was another one too that had this with Taylor Russell's character. I like these movies that are written in a way where like one of the characters progressively gets more and more confident as the movie goes on and gets more and more like sure of themselves. Like in the beginning, she's a little timid, she's a little quiet, but then by like the third act, she's rigging booby traps in her attic to ward off the henchmen. And I'm just like, I love that development. Sidebar too was that, I don't want to give it away, but that nail on the stepladder trap in this movie, my God, my jaw clenched.
Yeah, the way they shot that whole, like I said, that whole Home Alone-esque sequence, the way it's all done, it's creative too. It like, again, they definitely know what kind of movie this is because they do not shy away from the gore and the kills. But yeah, that nail on the step, I definitely like did a ooh, like, and I had to like look away. I saw this movie, surprisingly enough, I saw it on Sunday.
I give myself lockjaw.
I saw it Sunday at like 3 p.m. and literally I saw it with like a packed audience, and just hearing the reactions of people, I think just also added to like the fun of it. Like I was just having such a good time with like all these like probably like 56-year-old people who come see a movie at like 3 o'clock on a Sunday watching David Harbour just beat the hell out of people with a sledgehammer.
I also, and it's terrible, like I'm very immature if you haven't noticed too, but like the running joke is they're all trying to impress the grandmother, Beverly D'Angelo, whose name is Gertrude. Like she has 2 grandkids, one of whom is Trudy, Leah Brady. And I love every time they mention the other kid, he's a boy and his name is Bertrude. Every time that got brought up, I was like sitting there just laughing, like chuckling under my breath, thinking, Bertrude. That was funny. And his character's an incessant asshole, even at like 15. 15. Like he's just like embodies the worst. Like, you know what's so funny? I was thinking about this too, and this is not really apropos of the movie. But I know you're still like, you're going through school, but you're going through grad school, which is totally different. But like, I think about it now, and I'm like, and this made me Bertrude and Violent Night made me think about it for like a fleeting moment. I was like, there's always like the bullies and the jocks and the assholes and stuff growing up in
Yeah.
school and stuff, and they're still there. But I'm like, there's got to be at least like a handful of like young like boys and girls that like fancy
Influencers.
themselves as like influencers and probably have that like same entitled ass attitude. They're always on their phone. Like that's got to be a type of kid now in high schools. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even like that point because social media was still pretty new when we were coming up. Nowadays, man, I bet you there's like this one girl who thinks she's like the second coming of Paris Hilton, even though she wasn't born until Paris Hilton was irrelevant. Just random thoughts when you go see a movie on Thursday night, watching a movie with a character named Bertrude. I just had to throw that in there. I think that's got to be a thing in high schools these days.
What was it? I honestly too the whole like because I thought they were gonna get annoying so quick, especially him, Bertrude. The whole like side family like plotline that was going on, honestly was actually keeping me like entertained and cracking me up throughout this as well. Like like the boyfriend who's like an action hero and everything, and like they're making fun of the whole like, oh yeah, my movie made like $100 million and everything in China, but like we're trying to distribute out farther and everything. Yeah, that stuff was cracking me up too. The only complaint I have about this movie is that like the main plot with the main family, I should say, kind of just like other than their daughter, I really didn't care about what was going on there with the characters of Jason Lightstone and his wife Linda. Like I cared about their daughter Trudy, but like those two, anytime it cut to them dealing with the whole like will they or won't they get back together after the divorce, I was like, see, everything else about this movie like I'm enjoying, but like this whole plot line, not so much. I could care less about this.
Well, and this family is colored so unlikably too. Like even the main couple, like they have their flaws. Like they're not a very likable, like easy embraceable bunch. And that's kind of a joke of the movie too, is that this whole family outside of Trudy and the mother, the wife,
Mm-hmm.
they're all very smarmy, ungrateful people.
Yeah.
Given especially where they are, the house that they're in for Christmas, they're very how they're colored in this thing. Yeah, no, I totally see that. It didn't bother me too much because at the end of the day, it is a plot line, but so.
Okay, I don't know if mute my mic here on both ends, both this and Zoom. Steve? I'm here. Did you disconnect or me?
I don't know what happened here.
Everything on my end was still good, so I don't know if that was me or you.
You locked up on my screen. Are we still live?
We're still live, yeah. I was about to like make a whole announcement,
Okay.
like, okay, you know what? We're gonna take an intermission break and like see what the hell's
Okay.
going on with either my internet or Steve's. Because I've been noticing, like, obviously, like, I'm just gonna say this. I've been noticing, like, throughout this whole review, there's been a delay in us talking as well. Like, I'll say something, and there's like a 3-second pause, and then you continue. But
Yeah, I've tried not to talk over you for that purpose too. I think because you did say you did have some internet issues too ahead of the show, but we'll make it work the best we can. At least we're still live, though. That's the most important thing. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention too with this movie, one of the dip performers I did really like in this too is Brendan Fletcher, who plays Krampus, one of the henchmen of John Leguizamo in this movie. And he is you look like you know what I'm talking about, Joe. He's the real skinny one. He's kind of like the ringleader. He's the real skinny one who's like this unhinged character who's the one who's like keeping the family hostage in the living room. That guy is great. That guy does some really hilarious like physical comedy in this thing.
Yeah.
Like not overt. He's just really menacing and he's goofy. And I don't know. He's absolutely worth a shout out. I don't think he's going to get much credit, Brendan Fletcher, but every scene he was in, he pretty much stole for me.
I don't think like most of these henchmen guys that have like the little like Christmas names to give them a little bit more flavor. most of them don't really stick out. They're there, like I say, for like a bunch of slasher movies. They're there to be deli meat. But that guy, that guy's like, I'm only in this movie for 5 minutes, and I am eating up every second I'm on screen, man. From beginning to the end, I will be using everything I can to stand out from the rest of everybody.
And he does, like you said. I mean, everybody else has like these Christmas themed names, which is kind of fun. But like Krampus, Brendan Fletcher, though, I thought he did some extremely good work, stealing every scene he was in. But this is really ultimately, as good as Fletcher is, as good as Leah Brady is, this is really David Harbour's show.
Yeah.
And David Harbour now is really next man up. I mean, he is now reaching like the prime of his career and his stardom. And he continues to really, no pun intended, slay. Really like slay these like really offbeat, one-off sort of roles.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see that his ability to like carry a movie. I never questioned whether or not he could, but I'm glad with this movie that like the writing and the quality control on this thing like does justice to him, because he deserves it. He's a very good actor, and he's somebody you can tell he doesn't half-ass performances. Like, I don't think he phones anything in. Like, he throws himself. He's Santa Claus in this thing, and the writing around it supports him in the lead.
Every time I see Harbour pop up in anything now, it's just like, I'm honestly like, if they keep it a secret like they did in what's his name? One of his more recent films. Steven Soderbergh, he made an HBO Max original called No Sudden Move. Even that Netflix film Extraction, Hell, Black Widow. Anytime he pops up, whether he was marketed to pop up or not marketed to pop up, every time he's on screen, like, the man commands the screen. He's so good at what he does as an actor, man. It sucks it's taken this long for this guy to get discovered as big as it was, but like, I'm glad, like, yeah, obviously, like, you know, he found his niche with Stranger Things and everything has taken off from there, because, you know, as much as people like to hate on Stranger Things now, it's just like, dude, one, it gave us David Harbour, like, and two, it's like, it is like, you know, it's taken his career up to new heights, and it's great to see like him actually like take lead roles like this, and even dramatic roles too, man. Like, I cannot wait to see him in Cooper Raiff's next movie. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do, because up to this point, I've been seeing him mostly like, you know, I've seen him do dramatic scenes, of course, but he's been in action stuff. He's been this, Stranger Things, Black Widow, like I said, Extraction. The most dramatic thing I've seen him in, or Hellboy, we mentioned that earlier too. But the most dramatic thing I saw him in was in Soderbergh's movie, No Sudden Move, and he's only in it for such a short time. That's like, man, I really want to see this guy do drama the whole way through, or even comedy, like drama, the whole way through. And so I'm excited to see how that turns out.
I am too. We could probably quickly seg to star ratings here. That way we can emerge from the intermission and move on to the next subject too. But this is a very solid 3 out of 4 stars for me. Violent Night. This movie promises fun and delivers fun and entertainment and a contained quality that like these action vehicles should. David Harbour's the top billing over here. He is Santa Claus. He's in almost every scene of this movie, at least 70% of it. And the movie does right by its lead actor. It does right by its story. And it creates a really fun and engaging story, too, for the runtime. It might get a little long in the tooth a little bit because it is almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
But it's consistently entertaining. And you know what? I will say it gets maybe a little long because it introduces Santa's origin story, but I kind of liked where it went with that. I kind of thought now I kind of want to see a Santa Claus meets the Northman movie.
Yeah, I was
that we're never
say,
gonna get.
Like, this has been a year for Viking fans, man. Like, you have God of War, the Northman, and now like you have your Santa Claus who's possibly got like Viking roots to him. It's like, what the hell is going on? That origin story, as out of the field as it was kind of funny and fun to see.
And you got the Minnesota Vikings that are 10-2.
Oh, let's not talk
you know,
about that,
like
that means the Bears are doing bad.
you know, hey, glory to Minnesota, better them than Green Bay.
That's true.
Anyway, I'll say 3 out of 4 stars, man. I enjoyed this thing, and I look forward. I might even watch it again come next Christmas. I think I might, because this is one of those, like, again, I like to watch really offbeat, kind of strange movies around this time of year, strange Christmas movies like Bad Santa, like Santa's Sleigh. I like to watch these, like, I appreciate the holiday classics, but I'm not always one to watch them.
Yeah.
But like this one might get in rotation. This one might get in rotation. It's 3 out of 4 stars. Joe, I'll let you send us home on Violent Night.
It is just cool to get a movie between all the blockbusters that we're getting near the end of the year with Black Panther, Avatar, and even though I love Black Panther and I'm looking forward to seeing Avatar next week, it's cool to get something, and I always say this, a nice cool drink in this like desert of just a bunch of franchises surrounding you. It's just like, oh, what's over here? Okay, it's not a franchise. What's over here? It's not a franchise. Oh my God, just something that wants to do just one movie. We're gonna wrap everything up here and not leave anything open in one go. Now, could they make a sequel? Sure, and I would go see it. I'll be excited for it, but it's like it's not needed. It's just good to get a movie like this every once in a while, man. Yeah, for me, it is 3 out of 4 stars as well. It's a fun action movie. It's something I'm going to pair up with every year, probably, when I watch Die Hard around Christmas. I'll probably throw this on right after or right before. If you haven't seen it and you're looking for a good time around the holidays and you want to, like, just have a fun thing to do, maybe after the company Christmas party with your coworkers, go see Violent Night at the theater after you guys have a few drinks at the party and everything.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, and it would be good double billing too with Die Hard. I think that's almost an obvious point, but it's a point worth making nonetheless. But we will be back shortly after a Zoom-sponsored intermission. We are talking Bob Iger's return to Disney, acknowledging challenging times. We're going to be touching on that, a little bit tardy on that due to the Thanksgiving holiday and stuff like that. But no, we do want to make time for this as well. Not a ton of really significant movie news as far as I'm concerned, but this one is significant because Disney owns so damn much, if you don't already know that. Excuse me. So we'll be back in a couple of short minutes after a Zoom-sponsored intermission. Don't go anywhere. It's Sleepless with Steve on a Wednesday night. Better than ever. It is Sleepless with Steve. We are live and in living color on this Wednesday evening after our Zoom-sponsored intermission. We are segueing very smoothly to this topic. Wanted Dominic to introduce this topic today, but he compiled a very nice, like, sort of bullet-pointed checklist for this. A couple points on here that I wasn't going to bring up, but I do like the cohesiveness of what he addressed with this. So I'll try and do justice by our good friend and co-host Dom over here. But this is worth talking about because we did mention, I believe, when he left. And so I guess him coming back now, there is a sense of obligation to mention it. And I also think it's a little bit more than significant. But Bob Iger has returned as the CEO of Disney. And this comes after Bob Chapek took over as CEO. Iger made an address and answered questions. He was at a town hall. This was back on November 28th when this story broke. And Chapek did not last very long with Disney as the head in command with Disney. And bringing back Bob Iger, who was a surprising departure, no less, so soon is generally not the greatest sign, especially for a company like Disney that has so much power and so much pull and is really the gold standard in a lot of ways for marketing outside of Strange World, but for marketing, for promotion, and just for quality control. They really are, the gold standard of the industry. They're an empire for a reason. But there's definitely a difference between Chapek's philosophy and Iger's philosophy. And I kind of knew this even too, like going in when Chapek took over. Even though I don't really take a lot of joy in reading about CEOs of companies, I truly don't. But Chapek, though, he restructured Disney, and he was the one. You saw a greater push over the last year, and this was no coincidence. You saw a much greater push on TV, like advertising for Disney Plus, for Hulu, for ESPN Plus. And in doing so, Chapek really kind of pulled marketing dollars away from theatrical releases. And I think after Strange World's market forecast, box office forecast was not looking good, and then you had Lightyear. And to me, Lightyear is the more surprising bomb of the year than Strange World. Strange World was always kind of going to be a tough sell, I think. I didn't think it would do that as bad as it did, but it didn't do well. But Lightyear not doing well was more of the shock, because that seemed like a slam dunk for Pixar and Disney. Yeah. It was connected to a pre-existing franchise, the most successful franchise under Disney and Pixar. But nobody showed up, nobody cared, and those who did show up, it was very poorly received. And I think the ultimate irony, though, with Chapek being in command when Lightyear was promoted and eventually released, I think the ultimate irony there was that, like, Lightyear felt like something that was tailor-made to go to Disney Plus. Lightyear felt like something that was, like, designed for that damn app, as opposed to a theatrical experience. But apparently it's been, as the New York Times laid out in their piece, it's essentially Iger is going to sort of reinstate more of a creative blueprint for the company. And this happens a lot when companies seg from president to president. Usually you're replacing somebody new with somebody completely, or replacing the outgoing guy with somebody completely different. Yeah. You see this a lot. It happens in the American presidential system. You have a Republican for 4 to 8 years in president, then you get a Democrat, somebody completely different. And where Chapek, I think, they're all focused on the bottom dollar, but where Chapek was I think, more focused on brand recognition, IP, and like spin-offs, it seems like Iger is going to take a bit more creative risks in empowering Disney sort of creative group, and like the animators, the storyboard artists, and the people that are coming up with new stories that might touch on for different generations. And make no qualms about it. Disney Plus isn't going anywhere. Disney Plus right now is so significant to Disney at this point in time that it's kind of weird to say that, like, they can't have this fail, but Disney needs Disney Plus at this. If Disney were to lose Disney Plus, they'd be in deep shit. Yeah. They would be in deep shit in terms of consistent ad revenue, marketing dollars, and all of the above. So they need this too. And it's an interesting point, and this is kind of, I almost want to start the conversation here looking at Dom's talking points. It says Iger wanted to refocus on creative freedom, but how much freedom did he really allow in the first place? Like, and he's got a good point, because when Iger was in power was when you really started to see Disney's live action remakes, which are still going. We're getting The Little Mermaid next year, which I'm still not even 100% sure I'm going to see. But you've got like the live action remakes. You've had the Marvel TV shows come into play now too. Seen a lot of like safe stories more so than genre or narrative pushing stories. So you almost wonder too what's going to happen there. Because it's been a little bit since there was a real original Disney movie, I think, to get excited about, not including Pixar. I think it's been quite some time for that. What do you think, Joe? What do you think the direction could be that Iger could take this, especially if he's dropping words like creativity and a focus on like the creative mindset of this company?
I think it's stakeholders, whatever you want to call them, who were attached to Disney after he left, going like, what the hell is going on now? Because I'm even gonna go outside of the movies here for a second, but Disney as a whole is making some very, I'm gonna say, interesting decisions. Now look, let's talk about the movies, the TV shows, and everything. Disney Plus in general. You had the issue of what Disney Plus was trying to be under Chapek, which was a place for families to go to watch animated movies, TV shows, all that stuff. And during the pandemic, luckily enough, this platform launched in 2019. So they had this throughout 2020. And they were able to move a couple of their movie slated things from Pixar and Disney original animated stuff onto that platform rather than waiting for theaters to open back up. The issue with it now is they marketed it so heavily on TV and all these other things that you can watch these animated movies, these animated TV shows on Disney Plus, on Disney Plus, on Disney Plus, that I think audiences have kind of lost the idea or focus of when is the shift of me taking my kids to the theaters to watch Toy Story versus me keeping my kids at home watching Toy Story. They've lost that shift in focus of like, okay, when the hell am I supposed to like, are we going back to that? Are we not going back to that? Nobody knows. There's so many parents who legit thought, and I told them, like, they asked me what I thought of Lightyear, and I told them, like, I'm like, oh, it was good. I mean, at the theaters and everything. They're like, oh, wait, you had to go to the theaters to go see that? Well, what it's on Disney Plus? And I'm like, no. It's like, oh, it's not even like one of those premium movies I can pay for like $30. And I'm like, no, it's you gotta go to the theater. You gotta bring your kids there, buy 5 tickets, 6 tickets, whatever it may be. This ain't no $30 price point. This isn't included with your Disney Plus subscription like Turning Red and Soul was. Yeah, so I mean, like, there was that idea. I'm not gonna put that on him. That was a pandemic. To me, that was the right call to do, because I also thought it was the right call for HBO to use Warner Brothers slate of movies and start putting them on there, just to move the movie catalog along, and also like try to get some subscribers onto your service. But then you have the movies and TV shows, and I don't know so much when it comes to Iger, but it also feels like Chapek was doubling down way too much on what Iger was doing before he left, which was the Disney live action remakes, the Star Wars sequels and spin-offs, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This dude took those 3 points and it just felt like he was doubling down on them. And here's the thing, I'll say with Iger at least. With Iger, those movies, TV shows, all that stuff, they at least had some consistency to them. With Chapek, it felt like there's just way too much going out for one specific franchise at most, whether it be Marvel, Star Wars, whatever. And it was just like, dude, man, can we slow our roll here and actually take our time with stuff? It's it did feel like, I'm not saying everything was perfect under Iger, but at least the batting average was a lot better. I'll say that. But the last thing I want to say is, even animated wise too, I feel like the animated movies, I mean, you look at Strange Worlds quality and some of the other ones that have come out, other than Turning Around in Soul, it's just there really hasn't been too much of on the animated side of Disney and lately under Chapek. But the last thing I want to mention, it's nothing relating to movies or TV, so it probably shouldn't be talked on this show in the first place. But what the hell is going on with the park, man? The place that this thing is known for. The gold of Disneyland and Disney World is going down. What are you doing? Rather than focusing on making amazing rides that people love, the Haunted Mansion, all these iconic things. This dude is more about selling the experience, and I'm glad Dom put it on here. The Disney World NBA experience. What the hell does that have to do with Disney? That is the NBA. That's a different old thing. But not only that, even with the properties this guy owns, like, other than Pixar Island, where they actually have rides like roller coasters and all these other cool things you can do, the Star Wars theme park and the Marvel one is all about selling you this idea of an experience. But it's just like, dude, like, you know, I came here to ride on rides, not walk around the park and have stormtroopers talk to me as if I was a rebel spy. Like, I could care less about that. I'm here to ride some rides. This is cool, don't get me wrong. I'm geeking the hell out, but look, I paid a lot of money to be in this park. Give me some damn rides before I head over to Universal. The guy really pushed that stuff too. Later, it's like, why the hell do we have a Marvel Cinematic Cruise Line? Who the hell is gonna go on that? Why is there a Star Wars spaceship cruise line where it reenacts being on a cruise, but you're going to space, but you're not even on a cruise? You're just in a hotel that's pretending to be in space. It's just like, who's gonna pay, like, literally? And you see the prices for these things. These things are like $8,000, like, total for a whole trip.
Is that I have no idea what this stuff. I've never been to either Disney World or Disneyland, and I haven't had much interest in going. So you two can talk way more about this than me.
I haven't been there since I've been a kid, and I've been wanting to go back. But after seeing, like, the transition of selling more of the, you know, Disney, like, experience and rides went hand in hand. But under Chapek, it felt like he was trying to sell more of that experience. He thought that people want to come to this park to experience something, experience being a part of this adventure in Star Wars Land and Marvel Land and Pixar Island. But it's just like, no, people come to these for both. Like, yeah, the experience is cool. Like, seeing Mickey Mouse, seeing all the Disney princesses and princesses walk around and interact with the guests. People love that. But I also love, like, Space Mountain. Like, that's a cool ride. And I don't want Space Mountain to be taken away from me just so I can walk through a hall and have stormtroopers yell at me and everything. It's just like, dude, like, what the hell is this? But then, yeah, you have, like, the experiences of the NBA, like, thing at Disney and this cruise line that costs us, like, $10,000 for, like, one family to go. It's like, no one's gonna pay for that, dude. As cool as that experience is, and I get to build my own lightsaber, I get to go on a quest to save the galaxy from the Empire for 3 nights at your hotel. Yeah, I'm going to look back on that and go, well, that was a waste of money because now I'm $10,000 short and all I brought home is this plastic-ass lightsaber that's probably going to die on me in 2 minutes. Dude, like, I don't know what the hell his thought process was. He cut out a lot of stuff. He cut out, like, you know, when it came to the other creativities here as well, the video game side of things. Disney video games used to be, like, a big part of my childhood. Epic Mickey was, like, a big game I used to play and all this stuff. And the guy pulled back from that as well. It's just like, the guy was really focused on more of the streaming aspects, spin-offs, TV shows, movies, all that, trying to get it on Disney Plus as much as possible and selling more of an experience. And maybe to some people that worked better for them. For me, though, it could be just because, you know, this is how I grew up, and maybe the generation growing up now with all this kind of stuff might have a different feeling once Bob Iger comes back in. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, but for me, it's like, I'm kind of glad. Granted, am I glad any CEO is coming back? Any CEO? And do I love talking about CEOs? No, I'm just like Steve on this. But like, I kind of want old Disney back.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I don't think the challenges Disney faces, at least in one aspect, are any different than what, like, I mean, well, Warner Brothers Discovery just almost seems at this point completely fucked. At this point, and I think it's only going to get worse when how they're going to butcher HBO Max come next year.
We're not talking about it tonight, but for anybody watching the recap of this show or the segments and everything, yeah, we know what HBO Max is turning into. It's called Max, and we both agree it's a shitty name for such a great platform that's probably going to be butchered by next year.
Yeah, appreciate HBO Max while it's still here. That's all I got to say. But yeah, because it's like, you know, like I said, these 8-9 figure a year bastards over here are like, oh, this is the best streaming service on the market. Let's fuck this up. Anyway, you know, they could, and it's, some of these people, you wonder if you wonder how they could probably fuck up a cup of coffee. But anyway, back to the point here, is that the one challenge I think that Disney has that I think all the other businesses have, like my industry, obviously radio included. With Disney though, they're working themselves out of their own problem. Is that they conditioned moviegoers to stay at home. They conditioned moviegoers to stay at home during 2020 and most of 2021, rightfully so in a way.
Yeah.
But now you're realizing that like this family demographic, before the pandemic, they used to go to the movies as a family because that was the way you saw these new movies. But nowadays there's such confusion as to what is going to be streaming, what is available simultaneously in theaters and on streaming, what is exclusive to theaters. There's a lot of confusion in this realm, which we have to realize not everybody lives on Letterboxd like we do. And not everybody eats, sleeps, and breathes this crap like I do. But I mean, it's a real point of confusion for a lot of families.
Yeah.
And when you spent the last better half of a year and a half conditioning people to watch the latest Pixar movie on Disney Plus at no extra charge, it becomes very difficult to convince that same family of 4, 5, 6 to go to the theater to see Lightyear.
It is,
especially when the streaming window, it's not even theatrical to DVD anymore. Theatrical to streaming window is so short. You thought the theatrical to home media window was short. The theatrical to streaming window is so frigging short. For perspective, Smile has been on
HBO Max
streaming now, has been streaming now on HBO Max now. That thing came out at the end of September.
Yeah.
Like it has never been smaller. Halloween Ends, is available to purchase. A lot of these movies are.
Literally The Northman, that was 2 weeks later. It was on Peacock, or like 3 weeks later. No, I mean, that didn't do a box office.
Oh, yeah, and if you bomb, and that's the other thing, too, like, if you bomb, you're fucked. Yeah. You're going on streaming in the next month. You are. Like I'm waiting to see now how long it takes Strange World to get on Disney Plus.
Probably by next month. Because Encanto, no one wants to talk about this. No one wants to ever talk about this. Encanto did not do good at the box office, but they put that thing out immediately on Thanksgiving week so families would eat that up, and now it's a sensation. It's recovered itself because of like the songs and everything. But like no one wants to talk about it. I keep bringing it up to people. I'm like, Encanto went to theaters, right? Like, no, it was a Disney Plus exclusive. I'm like, no. It was in theaters and it only made like 10 million like opening weekend or something. Like, it did not
do well. Yeah, I was just gonna joke. The only thing people want to talk about less than Encanto's box office returns is Bruno. I was gonna make that joke, but I didn't want to interrupt you. No, but with Strange World though, I'm wondering. There's a part of me that's wondering now too, because Avatar's gonna take a lot of theaters. Yeah. Babylon's gonna take a lot of theaters. I'm wondering if Strange World's not on Disney Plus by New Year's Eve.
It probably will be. It might be on Christmas. It might be stealth dropped on Christmas.
It might be stealth dropped on Christmas to get the holiday crowd. It would not surprise me.
On the flip side of things, though, I mean, look at this is why, like, a lot of theaters and not theaters, studios held off on releasing something on streaming or selling something off the stream because they knew that this transition period of, well, I saw the last movie on streaming, so surely that's where it's just going to be now. Like, I'm worried about what's going to happen with Knives Out. I love Knives Out, and it's great that Glass Onion is coming out on Netflix, but it had its theatrical run. But that was already confusing for some people because some people told me, wait, man, I thought this was coming to Netflix. Why do I see it in the theaters? I'm like, no, you don't understand. I have to break down the whole Oscar thing and everything. But this is why No Time to Die and also Top Gun Maverick held out as long as it did because they knew how big of a hit they had on their hands as far as a franchise. They knew if, like, man, we put James Bond on streaming, that's it. It's people are always going to expect James Bond and then to go on the streaming. Top Gun, they knew, like, dude, we got a great blockbuster on our hands. We put this on streaming. They're expecting the next Top Gun to go on the streaming. And hell, I mean, look out for Top Gun. We've been waiting for this thing. I have a friend who, like, the theater by him closed down. The closest one nearby is 30 miles away. He's been waiting for Top Gun to come to Paramount Plus for, like, months now. Like, this thing is still not on Paramount Plus.
FYI, this is how it used to be.
This thing, you got so used to, like, especially with Disney Plus, man. Like, Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, 45 days later on Disney Plus. Doctor Strange, 45 days later on Disney Plus. We'll see Black Panther on Disney Plus on New Year's Eve. That is when that movie will drop on on Disney Plus. It will, as much money as it's making in the box office, Disney is stuck in their ways that they will still drop that thing 45 days into Disney Plus because they know that's what people are expecting to see it at. Like, it sucks, man. I feel like it kind of lessens the theatrical viewing now. In the theatrical window, you have to go see something, unless if it's Top Gun Maverick, that won't ever fucking leave the theater. But it's just, hey, this is unfortunately what happened due to the pandemic and having technology like streaming. Like, did anybody see this coming? As much as Spielberg and Nolan might be against streaming, they didn't fucking think it was going to be like this. No one did. The pandemic shaped things up for this industry in so many different ways, and this is a studio that we're kind of seeing the repercussions of it, along with Warner Brothers and Discovery.
Excellent points. And you know what? To wrap up this, there's a bit of breaking news now out of the Hollywood Reporter that ties into what you just said. Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman 3, not moving forward, dead.
Get out of here! No!
Dead.
What? Hold
New
on.
DC studio heads James Gunn and Peter Safran are in the final stages of prepping their multi-year plan ahead of next week's pivotal presentation to CEO David Zaslav of Warner Brothers Discovery. Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 is considered dead in its current incarnation.
Oh my god, dude. I know so many people who are going to be pissed off, man. Not to say,
that sucks.
Look. That last movie, that was one too, regardless of the quality, but they released it during the pandemic, they put it on HBO Max, it didn't get the reception they kind of wanted, so I'm just not surprised.
Very early reaction to this, because now remember, James Gunn is in charge of DC.
Yeah.
James Gunn's calling the shots at DC. You know what this is? You know what I really think this is? And it sucks for Patty Jenkins. It sucks for Gal Gadot. I think Gal Gadot will be fine, but I really worry about Patty Jenkins being a female director and everything and not having a lot under her belt outside of Wonder Woman. You know what this means, though? This is not just the death knell for Wonder Woman 3. You know what this is? This is a funeral for the Snyderverse too.
Oh yeah, that is also true.
That's what this is. That was my first reaction when I saw that. But yeah, breaking news out of the Hollywood Reporter now. Wonder Woman 3 apparently not moving forward. If there's future developments, there's your segment for next week.
It's so confusing. I don't even want to get into this whole nerdy crap, but it's so confusing to know what the hell is going on at DC in terms of what actor is playing. What actor is playing what character at this point? Is Ben Affleck going to be Batman? Is Michael Keaton going to be Batman? Is Ezra Miller staying as the Flash?
No, it's such a mess. You thought, and here's the thing, DC was fucked beforehand. Yeah, now you got Zaslav running the show, who's over here hold my brandy. Let me show you how much worse this can get. But I wanted to throw that in. It was just a nice coincidence that you brought up Warner Brothers Discovery to end this conversation.
Yeah, no.
Again, shout out to for supplying a lot of great talking points for this. This was a great segment.
Yeah, for real, Dom, your presence was felt here, especially with the little comments you have on your document of little jokes you probably would have said.
He even added in the jokes, man. I know, I love it. This whole thing reads in Dom's voice, and it's beautiful.
This is insane. This was the one movie I was like, they're going to do the third one, and then that's it. They might cut ties with both Godot and Patty, but for them to cut it out now, they really want to get things, I guess, in a new direction at that studio. But again, it's I don't...
You think?
I don't think... I hope so. I don't even know what the hell is going on anymore there, because we're still getting Aquaman and The Flash next year. And as far as I know, what's it called? Henry Cavill's Superman, because of Black Adam and all that. Dude, man, they just wipe the slate clean. All right, just fuck it, just do it from the top again.
This is the hierarchy. I think the hierarchy needed to change for DC, but wow, this is something else.
I'm afraid
you know what I think. You know what I bet you is next, because I know it's been announced. I bet you Black Adam 2 is going to be next, because did you see this week it leaked already that Black Adam stands to lose $100 million. Now I have barely paid attention to Black Adam. I didn't see it. I didn't want to. But Black Adam, I didn't realize it was doing that badly. I think that's a case of them spending too much money on it.
Steve, let me ask you a simple question real quick, okay? Hold on, let me get the mic real quick here. Do you know who Wonder Woman is?
Yes.
Do you know who Superman is?
Yes.
You know who Batman is?
Yes.
Who the fuck is Black Adam?
Whoa.
Like,
True.
dude, why the hell did they expect a Shazam villain to have his own movie make $100 million at the box office just because you have The Rock in it? You know how many movies The Rock's been in lately that haven't done that well because the people are getting tired of him? Not that I'm saying that Rock's bad at his job or a bad actor overall, but the man is everywhere. He has a TV show, he has a liquor brand, he's on my Instagram 24/7. In his gym is Iron Paradise.
He owns a football league.
He owns a football league, dude. He's part of the XFL. That's right.
He's everywhere. No, that's a great point. That's another great point.
Why?
Did you
like? It must have been him. I know it was his production studio, $7 production behind the whole movie and everything, and he's been tied to it for over a decade. Like this was announced back in 2005 at some Comic-Con, I think, actually.
Oh, that would have been Electra level bad if they made it then.
Oh God, yeah. But like, I understand this thing has been in the works for 10 years, and this has been his passion project. To give The Rock $800 million for a passion project, that's a bold play, Warner Brothers, when you already had like a lot of value. I mean, a lot of losses with Justice League in 2017. But sure, man, you do you.
We'll quit here while we're ahead, but I'm glad I saw that bit of breaking news though before the show ended as opposed to after. But next week I'm out of town. I'm on a trip, so Joe and Dom will take the reins. You guys gonna think you're gonna do the Christmas show next week?
Dude, I don't know. I have to contact Dom, but more than likely, if to give people a hint of what we're gonna do, I think this would be the best case scenario because I don't think anything's really coming out this week. Everybody's clearing way for the big Avatar movie to come.
There's nothing. The only thing that's out this week. I don't know if you saw this. You know that movie Father Stew, right? The Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
Remember from earlier this year?
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. Look, it's coming out this week again. It's called Father Stew Reborn. It's the PG-13 version of that movie.
Oh, okay.
Because the movies are,
Well,
and it's a hard R-rated movie.
We'll go to the theater together on that one.
You know, it's a mediocre movie, but like I remember watching it back in April, and I was like, the swearing, like the fact that this is a religious movie, but it's so vulgar, like. The F-bombs kind of make it like lived in a way, and now they're gonna like sanitize it to PG-13. I'm like, oh, this. I didn't even know it was coming out until last week, but that is really the only thing out this weekend because the Whale's only in LA and New York.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna say, I remember I saw it on the schedule, but yeah, that's right. It's unlimited release.
No, it's only on the coasts. It's only on the coasts.
Oh man, you know what?
Like I said,
just. What's it called? We're gonna have to ask for these screeners ahead of time now, just to give us something. But to give the viewers at home what next week might look like, kind of similar to what we've done in the past with our Halloween shows, where we talked about our favorite horror movies to watch around Halloween. We've never done it with Christmas, so Dom and I might be doing that next week with Christmas. We might even talk about some holiday specials that are coming out on streaming platforms. Maybe we'll talk about the Guardians Christmas special. I don't know. Him and I were kind of texting about it. We're still deciding it, but just know next week is definitely a Christmas holiday themed event for Sleepless with Steve.
Sucks I'm going to miss it, though, but I can't wait to see what you guys pick and what you guys talk about, though, because I probably will go back and watch it. At any rate, that's our show. 3 topics today, including a breaking news topic. So didn't expect that when we logged on today.
Yeah.
That's our show, though. Highlights will be posted on this very YouTube channel on which you're watching the show right now. For Joe Viso, Dominic Guanzon, and his lovely outline of notes, and yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.